Hey, I'm Jennifer Hurvitz, best-selling author of the books One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda. I'm a relationship coach, a public speaker, and I'm the mom of two of the most kick-ass teenage boys around. Raw, authentic, and insightful, this podcast is a no-bullshit slice of reality for anyone curious about what it looks like to get divorced. On Doing Divorce Right, we'll give you the tools you'll need to navigate your relationships, whether you're contemplating divorce or have already signed the papers. We'll figure it out together without taking ourselves too seriously here on Doing Divorce Right podcast. Hey, welcome. This is Doing Divorce Right or Avoiding It Altogether. I'm Jennifer Hurvitz and I'm your host every Tuesday. I'm here with you. It's awesome. Good morning. Hope all is well. Everyone's doing well today. I'm going to take a deep breath because this podcast is going to be a little bit dirty for me, a little bit sexy, and a little bit, I don't know. We're going to talk about porn today. Yes, you heard me. Get your mouths up off the floor, everybody. We're talking about porn. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this for a really long time. I have an awesome guest in my studio today. Dr. Joe Kort, you guys are going to love this, is a leading expert on sex in relationships. Now, I have sexologists on, often, but we've never hit the porn topic. So this is going to be good. I'm excited. He's an author of 4 books. Joe, I didn't know you had 4 books. Yeah, 4 books on male, oh my God, I'm so excited, on male sexuality and fluidity. He specializes in out-of-control sexual behaviors and sex addiction. Am I right? We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
I want to keep going here. Relationship problems and marital conflict, sex therapy, sexual identity concerns, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. His podcast, which I was on, I'm so grateful to be, was on there. It's called Smart Sex, Smart Love. Dr. Joe Kort. We're going to talk. Let's just get in there. Let's get in there. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad, and I'm glad that you brought this topic into your podcast. Thank you.
I think we need to. I think that it's the cause of many marital problems, don't you think?
Yes. Well, here's the thing, that we're being told by various governors and John Gottman, who's a marital researcher, and other people saying that we're in a porn health crisis these days. And the truth is that is a lie. Because if we were in a porn health crisis that we're contributing to the demise of people in relationships, then that would be happening to gay and lesbian relationships. And it is not. And there's a difference, and there's a big difference in that, and there's a reason why. We're going to talk about that.
I would love it. Let's do it.
All right. So the biggest reason is in gay and lesbian relationships, they talk about sex right from the beginning. In fact, for gay men, they talk about it before they even meet. It's in their ads. This is what I like. And they start with the sex, and then they start talking about going out for wine and dinner and, romantic walks. So when they meet, they talk about their sexual interests, and there's if there's erotica and there's pornography, and they're calling female porn cliterature. I don't know if you've ever heard that word.
I've never heard of that.
I know, and there's so many New York Times books that are being published, and in the title, Becoming Cliterate, Women's Cliterature. And so the idea is that we're talking about it, but straight couples, they don't talk about it until it's discovered.
Okay, you're so right. Okay, that is so right, because I cannot believe how right that is, and so true, because it's almost like it's like taboo. Like we don't talk about it. God forbid we should say on the first date, like, I really love, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's seen as crass, but it shouldn't be crass. It should be, it doesn't have to be said in a horrible, disgusting way, but just kind of say, here's what I get into. What do you get into? And start sharing about it,
Yeah. Because I think we should, because honestly, like if you're really different from each other and you wait 6 months to talk about it, and then you kind of really dig each other, but you're totally different in the bedroom, you're screwed. No pun intended.
Right. And 6 months, 6 months is actually a nice amount of time. I have couples, and I mostly work with straight couples who are 16 years into it, maybe 6 years into it, and they discover this. And now they have children. The woman will say, I thought I was in a porn-free home. But they have, and I'll talk about this, they have an implicit contract, not an explicit contract.
Okay, explain the difference.
Yeah. So here's a great way to talk about this. Marty Klein says this. Marty Klein's a sex therapist. He says, couples fight over contracts they never made. So in other words, this is an implicit contract. She thought, I'm in a porn-free house. He thought, I don't have to tell her. This is adjunct. It's an autoerotic thing that I don't even need. It's not about her. And then when it's discovered, a lot of women are socialized to believe that so much is about them. It's so sad. So she starts comparing herself, and she will say in my office, it feels like I found him in bed.
Right. It feels like he's cheating on me.
Yeah, it's a cheating situation for her.
Right.
And I used to try to talk them out of this. Like, he didn't touch somebody. He never met anybody. It's all a movie, but it doesn't matter. If for her, it really is cheating.
Right. And why do you think, why do you think that women are so hell-bent on the fact that it's cheating? They just can't get it. Like, I've never thought of it that way. I guess that's because I'm To be honest with you, porn is not a problem for me. So I don't know why. I mean, I guess I'm not judging, but why people are so crazy about the fact that they think it's cheating when it's just clearly not.
Because, and I just had a woman say this in my office, and she was young. I mean, I'm seeing these young women say these. Younger women are usually more open, but these days they're saying, because I don't want him comparing my body to the bodies of the women in that porn.
Okay, so now it's a body issue.
Yes, it's her body issue, but she makes it his.
Okay.
So she never has to deal with her own stuff.
I see. Okay, so that's a totally different thing. See, so for me, I have teenage boys. So my whole thing, my fear as a mom, and you can help me with this, maybe with this whole other subject, but my fear is that I don't want them to get like the wrong idea of what making love is or what, you know what I'm saying? Is that an issue that I should worry about?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. And people blame the porn for that. It is not the porn's fault. It's the parents that don't talk about porn literacy and give their children sex education. So without sex education, without porn literacy, and what I mean by that is telling people not every penis is as big as you see. Not every woman starts orgasming in 2 thrusts going in, you know. And I just learned from a porn actor that said to me, a lot of the vulvas are prosthetics. They're not even real vulvas you're looking at.
What are you mean? In porn?
That sometimes
you're kidding.
No, I guess there's a certain way a man might want to look at a vulva. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, they make prosthetics.
Oh, I want to know what that is.
Know this?
I would like to know. I would like to know.
I didn't ask him. I was more sort of like surprised by the whole thing. I'm
surprised. I'm in shock. I can't believe it. Because here's the thing. So I did have that conversation with my boys. The minute that I found out they were watching, I was like, look, guys, this is not this and this is not that. And and then people were like, I can't believe you talked about that with your boys. And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's terrible. You get that kind of feedback. Everyone should be talking to their kids about
Don't
porn.
you think?
Yes, I do. Otherwise, they're going to talk to someone else, or they're going to make up, like you said, their own stories. And then when they're going to have sex, they're going to have the wrong idea.
Right. And you know what? I've got news for you. Like, I just grew up, I went to Michigan State. I have a degree in sexuality, whatever, blah. I just grew up knowing, like, my parents talked about it with me. I just know that you're supposed to talk about it with your kids. I was shocked that people didn't.
Yeah, no, you're a good mother, and I really commend you for it, because I even sometimes will ask parents, have you thought about what you're going to say if your child comes out to you LGBT?
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, what? Why would I have to think about that? Because you might be raising a child who's LGBT.
Yeah.
And most parents are struggling, and this happens with partners too. They struggle with porn because they have unexamined sexual and gender and erotic issues of their own.
Right. So what do you suggest they do? That they deal with themselves first and then?
Well, no. So by the time it happens, it's such a rupture. When they come in my office, I deal with, and I'm making a sweeping generalization, but I normally see hetero couples where the woman has found the porn and the man is very upset that he's upset her. And so I will work with her first. And what has to happen is him to raise his empathy toward her, that this is really hurtful to her. Well, women shouldn't be raised to believe everything's about them. And, you know, if you go to a magazine rack, it's all for the women's magazines are how to get him happy, how to make him happy, how to get him aroused, how to keep him aroused, how to get him erect. You know, like, what? This is a man's job for his own body. You can, you know what I mean? We don't, our magazines don't say what to do to women to get that, you know.
Why don't they though?
I don't know. They should. It would be nice not to blame them, but to say. And there are books, like there's a book on the New York Times bestseller, Lori Mintz. She wrote a book called you might want to interview her sometimes, Becoming Cliterate.
Oh, I love that.
Book. And I recommend it to all my straight couples.
Say it again. Becoming Cliterate.
Cliterate. So women learn how to, women learn how to arouse themselves.
Well, they should. And I always tell people, if you don't know how to get off, how do you expect your partner to get you off?
Right. And then the partner should read the book so he knows how to get her off. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's just amazing to me. Okay, so go ahead. So the guys come in and then they have to be empathetic of the woman who found the porn and blah, blah, blah. But here's my question. And this is maybe I'm super naive, Dr. Kort, but here's Dr. Joe. Here's my thing for you. Do women actually think their men are not watching porn?
They do. I had a girl, she was a woman. We were in our PhD program, and she said, I know women have this problem, but I wouldn't have my problem if my husband watched porn. I said, does he? She said, I've never asked him, but it wouldn't bother me. And I said, why don't you go ahead and ask him? So she did. Yeah. She came into the next class. She said, oh my God, my husband watches porn, and I'm totally horrified by the whole thing.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be,
No, it's okay. We were both laughing. I'm like, see, it's like, I think most women think that you're taught. I think men are taught this too. I'm going to be everything. You never have to look at another image. My image will be your image for life. And that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I feel like if a guy wasn't, this is just me, maybe I'm crazy, but I think if a guy wasn't allowed, quote unquote, to watch porn, he would cheat.
So there's some studies that are coming out, and I've always said this, that it helps men stay monogamous, but romantic and literature helps women stay monogamous and not to go get their needs met from other men, and for the men not to go get their needs from other women, you know?
Right, yeah.
So you're right.
I can't imagine. I mean,
so I've had other women in my office say, you're either a pervert or a sex addict, and I'm not staying married to a pervert, so you better be a sex addict. Because now she's discovered this whole secret sex life that he has.
Okay.
And so then here's what women will say. And again, this could be the other way around. We'll talk about vibrators in a minute, that men get jealous of vibrators.
Yes, they do. That is the funniest. I'm sorry.
Do.
It cracks
men
me
say,
up.
my penis is available 24/7. I could have food poisoning, men say, and my penis is available 24/7.
This is the best episode ever. This is my favorite episode. Yeah, sorry, everybody else, but this is great.
Well, she feels replaced by the porn, and he feels replaced by the vibrator, you know? So she wants him so she finds out this whole other life that he has in his head. And so she says, I don't even know you anymore. And what I want to say is, when you find out after many years of marriage that your husband likes anchovies, but he never told you, you don't say to him, oh my God, I don't even know you anymore. How could you? This is like completely changes. Right. But because she's having a disgust response and a personal response, she now can't put these two things together. And I have a lot of empathy for her. And I sit with her. I have him sit with her and help her understand that we have a sexual orientation to whom we're attracted. Male, female, both, a blend of both, neither. But we then have an erotic orientation. Our erotic orientation is what turns us on, what gets us off, what brings us to orgasm. And they don't always match. And what you protest during the day is what gets you off at night. It's all politically incorrect and messy and complicated. And it's not so neat and tidy. And people want it to be.
Yes, they do. You know what? This could be a whole 3-hour thing, because I go to the next thing with the swinging and the polyamory and then bringing someone in, and then I have friends who were in gay relationships and now all of a sudden they're straight.
Yes.
So that also especially with children, that's another podcast we could do. It's just, to me, it's no judgment. I'm very good at I don't want to judge anybody.
Sure.
Right? You know, we can't do that.
You're curious though.
You just can't, but I'm curious to myself, you must see all of this. Don't you see all of this?
I see all of this. And I'll tell you what they all have in common. They need to have sexual health conversations. Every couple, no matter who you are, poly, swinging, thruples, monogamy, even when couples tell me they're monogamous, in my first appointment, I say to them, how have you negotiated your monogamy? And they'll look at me like, what do you mean negotiate our monogamy?
Yeah.
And I say, well, is it okay that he masturbates if you watch porn, if she uses her vibrator, if he sends dick pics and never meets this person? Can someone have cyber sex? Like you even said, if I could say this to you, you said you don't mind if your boyfriend or husband watches porn.
Yeah, okay.
Can he have cyber sex though?
What does that mean?
In Romania? So he might get on cam with this woman in Romania he's never going to meet.
Oh God, no, I don't think so. No, isn't that, I don't know if I don't think he ever, I don't.
Would that bother you?
Does he talk to her too?
Yeah, they're talking and they're sexually showing his body.
I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay, see, let me tell you something. That's great. No, so a lot of women would say it's not appropriate.
But should I tell him that? Because I think here's the thing, Dr. Joe. I feel like that should be like he should know that already. But maybe
see
not.
that? So that's an implicit contract that you've made with him?
See, I just gave you a perfect example. Right.
No, and so I tell my couples, no one's going to just know this. You need to say these things. But I also have compassion for a lot of women say, I thought I was in a porn-free house. How was I supposed to know? So she might not have known to ask, but he might also not have known to tell her because he's been doing it since he was 11.
Yeah, I mean, this. Is it right? You grow up beating off. What are you going to stop all of a sudden because you get? I just don't understand that. To me, But then again, I don't understand how my boyfriend could assume that he can't have cyber sex with a Russian girl. So
exactly. In Russia, right?
Yeah,
he's never going to meet her.
Well,
but
you never
to
know.
a lot of guys,
have you seen that 90-second fiance? They meet.
No.
Oh, you should watch that
movie.
Oh my God, 90-second fiance. They do have relationships for 4 years with these women, and then they meet them.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's another whole podcast. Anyway, so go ahead. So
let me tell you that for the men, once the women can really understand that this isn't about her, it's really he enjoys her, he enjoys sex with her, he enjoys her body, and he enjoys other bodies. And for him, it's just live. Even if he's interacting with people, it's live porn for him. They're creating fiction. He logs off. It's nothing. Porn never says no. It never has a headache. It never judges you. It starts when you start. It stops when you start. That's why vibrators and pornography are so easy. It's autoerotic lives that we all have in our relationships.
And it's fast and easy, and there's no mess. You don't have to worry about it. Doesn't bother you. Doesn't talk to you. I mean, it's just like, oh, you're so right.
But it
so
should be
vibrators.
talked about.
Vibrators.
So then,
I feel like men are just jealous of vibrators.
They're jealous because they want to be the one. They want their penis involved. I had a guy before camera phones. He measured how many inches his wife's vibrator was from the wall and what direction it faced. And when he came home, it was several inches further from the wall and facing east or whatever. I don't know. He was in a rage. And when I tell therapists and couples, if you get into good vibrator, bad vibrator, good porn, bad porn, you're not going to ever solve the issue. It is not about either one. It's about your reaction to the porn and what's in it. It's the reaction to the vibrator, and that your wife is having an autoerotic life that doesn't include you.
Right, but like, why can't you just, I'm just saying, put it out. Can't you do it together? Can't the vibrator be involved with everybody? Like, just,
you can, but a lot of women will say that, right? But it can be done and very sexy, but then a lot of people want to do it alone too, in addition to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And then also this is so funny, but like now sex stores and all that stuff, and you go in, I mean, there's a time when like I used to like get all giddy and like laughing and hee, like, that nervous, whatever. But like, I just feel like, I don't know. Maybe it's maturity, maybe it's not maturity, but like, I just feel like that's part of life. Like, isn't it? I don't know.
It's part of life. I'll tell you, this is my very common example that I use. I call them the tiny waist couple. This woman and man met 40 years ago. She had a very tiny waist. He was into women with really tiny waists. Okay. They had a lot of sex. They fell in love. They got married. Sex was great. They had babies. Sex would be off and on, good and bad, better, not better, but never a problem. She gained more weight with each baby. She went through menopause. He still loved her body. They still had great sex. Everything was fine until she found his porn. And what was in his porn?
Oh, it was all
tiny waist.
Yeah.
So then she's crying, calling him a sex addict. By the way, I don't do sex addiction treatment. Sex addiction treatment pathologizes sexual behavior and is not sexually informed. The public needs to know that when you're going to a sex therapist, they have no sexual health training. They don't know anything about sex unless they've gone into another program to learn about sex.
Really?
And most don't. No.
Okay, everyone needs to hear that again. Say that again, because I think people don't realize that.
Yeah, so when you go to a sex addiction therapist, they think, sex therapist. No. These people are trained in mental health. They're trained in trauma and addiction, but they get almost zero training in sex therapy. And so they don't know how to help you other than to stop the behavior and make it wrong. Sex therapists like myself, we don't do that. Instead, we say, let's help you understand, is it out of control? You feel out of control. How is it interfering with your life? It's usually an erotic conflict the person's having. Okay, so they're in conflict. Go ahead.
Okay, so explain to me, because this is my next question for you. What is, like, I know this is like, we always say, like, what is a sexless marriage? What is too much? Like, what is sexual porn? Like, addiction to porn? What is too much porn? I mean,
it's up to the person. There's no therapist, no partner, no religion to tell anybody anything. Is it causing conflict for you? And even if it is, why is it causing conflict for you? What we try to invite with partners and even with individuals is what we call erotic empathy.
Okay.
So having empathy for your partner's erotic interests, having empathy for yours. Most people are compulsive around it because they're at war. If you go to war with your sexuality, you'll lose and cause more problems in your life than you started.
Oh, I love that. If you go to war, that's great.
Yeah, it's not my line. It's Jack Moran. He's a late sex therapist. A wonderful line, wonderful, book. He wrote a book called Erotic Mind. It's not about porn, but it's then helping us understand, why do I get into this? So I help couples understand we all have threads to our childhood about what the things that get us off. Right.
So what happens, Dr. Joe, if you're with somebody, and let's say you're with someone for 5 years, and all of a sudden he comes home or she comes home and says, I want to try X, Y, or Z. And the other one says, you know what? I'm not in. That's not interesting to me, and I'm not interested, and I just, hands down, not going to do it. So we're in an impasse, right? What do you do?
Yep. So here's what I do. I used to, and a lot of therapists still do this, is they align with the no. They say, okay, she or he said no, it's no. Well, no, wait a minute now. So no, so the yes shouldn't trump the no, and no shouldn't trump the yes. So what I say to them is, okay, so now what are you going to do? Because the person who says yes, they have erotic needs and erotic interest.
Okay.
Are they going to be able to go to use porn? Can they have cyber sex? Are you going to open the marriage? And the person who says no usually says no, and no means no, and you can't get it anywhere else either. Well, that's not fair.
Right.
So good sex for me, bad sex for you. This is a conversation. And couples look at me like, well, what do you think? And it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you negotiate in your relationship through dialogue and erotic empathy. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. And so for me, it's like, it's just so funny. This always comes up with everyone I talk to. Everyone says, well, and the guy's usually the guy that says, and the girl's like, I'm not into it. It's always anal sex. All my friends are like,
going to say that.
Yes. All my friends are like, I'm not doing it. It's not going in my butt. Things come out of my butt. Things don't go in my butt, blah, blah, blah. And all my girlfriends like, he wants my husband. And then I'm like, and this is the thing, like for some people, it's not going to happen. So like, is that something that breaks up a marriage?
It can break up. So there's two things about anal sex that can break up a marriage. The foreclosed no without even trying or talk. Maybe the yes comes into, we talk about it. We watch anal sex in porn while we're together. We pretend to have anal sex. There's a million different ways and ways that maybe we even thought of in the room. But there's another part that brings up divorce. That's when the men want to receive anal sex and they want her to peg. It's called pegging.
Yes.
And so she wears a strap on. And so this is complicated because women have a disgust response. And now they see their alpha male, and this is what they say in my office, as a beta male.
Yes.
And maybe he's gay. Why would he want to, like, as if anal sex has anything to do with homosexuality. You know what I mean?
But it's so funny. And let me tell you something, I totally agree with you. And everyone, not everyone, I'm just generalizing, so many men and women feel that way. Why?
I know, and I always say, my tagline to that is, your anus doesn't have a sexual orientation. It doesn't know whether it's gay, straight, or bi. It's an anus. You know what I mean?
It's just a hole, for God's sakes. Why can't people, I'm so with you. And it's really hard when somebody close to you or around you that you're friends with doesn't get, it's hard to explain that to someone who's not going to buy it. You know what I mean?
And I don't mean to minimize, like when I'm making light of this, I want people to hear that it's sad to think of people divorcing over something that they might be able to find other solutions around if they just stay open and deal with their own disgust that they're experiencing from their partner wanting to do a certain sexual act.
Right. It's kind of like the disgust of like, I hate broccoli. Like, oh my God, I'm never going to touch this disgusting calamari. It's like, like you're so right. Like what's the response is so quick to say no.
And here's what we know in regular couples therapy, forget sex therapy. In regular couples therapy, if you stretch to do the things your partner wants you to do, you're often going to find out that it's something in it that you're going to enjoy from it too, that there's a growth opportunity here. Right. So why wouldn't that also be true in sex? Sometimes it is.
And I also think too, when your partner immediately says no to something, like, no, I'm not going to, no vibrators in the bed, it immediately, for me, it shuts me down. Where like, why is it such a strong no? Like what happened in his life or her life that why is it just such a definitive answer, and why is he so aggressively saying no? Right. So then I shut down and I'm thinking, is it me? Am I, you know what I'm saying? So I think you're so right about that. I think that there has to be a middle ground somewhere. I think it's
really sad.
Yeah.
It's sad when there's not. It's sad when there's this, and a lot of therapists align with it because they haven't done their work. So they have their unexamined sexual and erotic issues, and they feel like the stronger no, the person that's having the stronger reaction is the right partner. And it might be right, but so is the yes partner. So let's get them talking to each other.
Right. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I know that you have to go because I have to keep you on schedule here because you're such a busy guy. But where can everybody find you? And first of all, I think that this has been like such great information, and I would love to have you back because I feel like we can open up a whole new, I would love to talk about kids and porn and kids and what to do. There's so much to talk about. So much to talk about. It's such good information that I think the tough conversations that come along with sex and sexless marriage, and people have to have them.
They do. And if you don't have them, your relationship is going to become more and more ruptured. And my whole job is to not have that happen for you. Let's talk about the hard stuff.
Right. And I think and I know that you do therapy and you're in Detroit, but do you do Zoom, and can people find you and hire you all over? Or?
Yep, they do. I have couples and individuals all over the world, in Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Seattle, all over.
Okay, so everyone, you can find Dr. Kort. This is amazing. I just want you to know. So it's Joe Kort, JoeKort.com. Everything's going to be in the show notes. And he has a fantastic podcast called Smart Sex, Smart Love. It's really great. You guys, this is great information. And Joe, I love you. I think you're amazing. I think you're smart and just, I think you make everyone comfortable, which I love too, because this is not comfortable for everybody. You know, it's just
you do the same. You were on my podcast and I learned so much from you. And you're talking about things. I know, it was great. I learned a lot of stuff, and I have talked about husband to everybody. That word is like, I'm telling you, I'm spreading the word. That's a great word.
Thank you. I'm excited. You know, you need to get a TED Talk. I feel like you should have a TED Talk. Have you had
I would love to. I have tried, and I'm going to keep trying because I really
be fantastic. Yeah. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for coming today. I'm so glad you were here. And everything will be in the show notes, and please come back again.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Everybody, you can find me, of course, at jenniferhurvitz.com or Jennifer Hurvitz Biz on Instagram. I'm just happy to be here with you guys, and this is a great episode. And everybody have a great day. Happy Tuesday. Go out and do something fun. And that's it. As usual, peace, love, and truth. Thanks for listening to Doing Divorce Right. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe, recommend, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Want to keep the podcast going? Support us by going to www.jenniferhurvitz.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Peace, love, and truth.